Welcome back to the Edge podcast. We have a very special episode today. Our guest joining us is a rising senior at the University of California Berkeley, where he competes on the track and field team and specifically the hammer and weight throwing events. He's a multiple time Pac 12 finalist and holds the program record or a top 10 program record for the hammer throw. Thank you so much for being here, Michael.
Dude, I'm excited. It's been a long time coming. I
Yeah,
have some big
definitely
shoes to
has.
fill based on your previous guests, but hope to deliver the people some interesting info about throwing and just talk about some good old athletics. So let's go.
For sure. Would love for us to start all the way in the beginning. When I think of a lot of sports that most kids just start playing, hammer throw and weight throwing, probably one of the least things or last things that come to mind. So, kind of what was your sports journey starting off as, and then how did you work your way up into hammer throw and weight throw?
Yeah, so I started playing football. Like football was my first love, or yeah, I'd say that's the biggest thing. And then,
Yeah.
so I was always a big guy. I'm always like taller for my grade, like heavy for my grade. So, in eighth grade, like at my high school, the track coach runs like he's a PE teacher at the middle school, and he runs like this like track and field unit kind of. So I like threw in that, and I threw shot put in that, and I did pretty well. And he kept asking me to come out year after year to be on the middle school track team. And I did that in eighth grade. I had a lot of fun with it, and then I decided to continue with in high school. A lot of throwers come from or like continue throwing in high school for like football. Like their football coach is also the track coach sometimes. Or throwing is also a really good way for like football players to keep athletic. Keep like footwork good, etc. Be light and fast. Some super famous football players were successful throwers. I think LeGarrette Blount was actually a successful thrower. Joe Staley, I think the Cleveland Browns tackle, was a successful thrower at Wisconsin. So, point is, I did shot put in ninth grade, and then 10th grade, like I was okay at shot put. I was good. I paid the bills, as we say. But I wanted to do something more. I wanted to extend myself, and my coach, the normal throwing coach, was actually an ex Northeast, or he's a Northeastern alum who used to throw hammer at Northeastern. Which Northeastern, for those who don't know, is a private school in the Boston area, D1 though, and so he obviously had a good bit of knowledge from 4 years of collegiate throwing, and in high school he had a very famous coach by the name of Patty McGrath, who is still very successful, and is coach. He's the coach of the American record holder right now. So good hammer throw lineage, and then so late sophomore year, like probably in May, I start just like doing some things, and I somehow just like fall through the circle and qualify for nationals in like the lower division. So I think at that moment, like it was like maybe a month of throwing max, and like we don't have the facilities in Lexington High School and like where I went to high school to really throw well and throw consistently. So I think at that moment I was like, all right, this is maybe worth trying. I try this, and maybe worth committing myself into it. So then it kind of took off from there.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome. We'd love to dive like specifically into that like week or however long that like kind of event was. Um, how does it feel when, or I guess like heading into it, what are you thinking of? Like you've only been doing this for not that long, and somehow like you said you fell into that position, qualified. What is your mentality going into that? And then like once you just start rolling, you're like, what's your reaction? And what was your parents' reaction, and I guess your siblings too?
Yeah. So I mean, I think at first, like I at first I really couldn't believe what was happening. Because I remember I went to like one meet, and like I was I was just like chopping it up with some of the kids in line, which is a normal thing you do in throwing, and like someone was like, "Wow, like I can't believe you started like a week ago or 2 weeks ago at that time." So, but yeah, I was super excited for it. I mean, going into nationals, like I was like at that point I was like, "Hey, let's just have fun here, and then next year and the year after we're gonna like show up and show out." That was the mentality, and that's what my coach told me, to just have fun and to begin with the sport, which I think is a very good tip, and I think is the center of all sports, is to make sure you have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I had fun with it. It was like throwing the hammer, especially. Like I mean, I'm used to it now, but when you first start, like it is the newest feeling in the world. It is crazy because like I'm not sure how many of the viewers are like familiar with exactly what hammer throw looks like, but it's like you spin around holding this like long metal ball like 4 times, and so I think I was getting used to some of the like the body parts of the sport, like little like weird joints and weird muscles start hurting when you throw a hammer for some reason. Like there's like muscle in your back that like when you start throwing it's just like tight and weird. So I was reacting in some of those ways, but mentally I was just excited. I was excited to ready to have fun and see where it took me. Just riding the wave for the most part.
That's
My
awesome.
parents were happy. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that's awesome. Yeah, go ahead and finish the reaction. I'd love to hear what your parents thought, because as someone who played sports, I never like accidentally fell into. I had my good games, bad games, but it was never like my parents like holy like you know what I mean. Like for me, it's when you're that close in high school, and correct me if I'm wrong. Like at one point, you might be thinking I'm just gonna go purely for academic to school. Right? I won't be able to play the sport. I grew up playing football in college, so then like that immediate turnaround, that it's like a whole new path is kind of opened up for you, and so I would love to hear what your parents thought about that.
Yeah, my parents were incredibly supportive, which I'm very fortunate to be like have those parents that supported anything I did athletically. They didn't really understand it at first, and sometimes I don't think they really understand it now. But they were still supportive. They were fully like with supported me working out with my coach, and really me dedicating a lot of time to it. So very fortunate for that, and they're excited. I think the oh shoot moment for them was when I was getting recruited by Harvard, and like the Harvard coach came to my house. Then, especially like
Wow,
I've like my dad's Indian, and my mom was like I don't know stricter as well. So when they saw the Harvard coach pull up, like that was the moment for them. They're like, whoa, like things have changed. I think that'd be a surreal moment for a lot of parents, and for them they were truly like off the wall at that point. They were then they were full support when the Harvard coach came for a meal at my house.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about this a little bit, but why Berkeley? Why over all the other schools, Harvard, amongst like a bunch of the other top academic schools in the world? What drew you to kind of pack everything up and move out west?
Yeah, so I think like when I was going into college, I really wanted like the best academic experience possible and best athletic experience possible. I knew I was going in for some like math or science related thing. My first thought was computer science, but I was like, okay, if that doesn't work, I'd do some kind of material science, chemical engineering, some engineering, math, like something of that realm. So the two things I like about Berkeley is Berkeley is great in like every single one of those disciplines that I just named. Like they're top 10 ranked, have best professors, and I'll talk about some of the opportunities, like why I'm very grateful for making that decision, because I've gotten some opportunities at Berkeley that I'm really enjoying. But anyway, on the athletic side, I mean, I remember, when I was recruited, there was my teammate, I guess now she's not my official teammate, but Cameron Rogers just won the NCAA title. The throws coach at Cal, his name is Mo Satara. He is, one of the best in the country, if not the best. So, it just made so much sense that, one of the best coaches in the country, like I said, if not the best, and, one of the best academic experience, especially CS. Berkeley CS is, pretty prestigious. So, I knew I was going to get go to a good program that would take care of me. And, I feel like I've got that. I'm super grateful for.
Yeah, and so making the jump from high school to college, talk to Garrett a bit about this in his episode, but what was the first meet event where you look around, it's truly a different league. Like, you understand, obviously it's collegiate and whatever, but there's just some people out there that you're like looking like, this is insane.
Actually, even just my first meet, so I think I'll remember my first meet the most, because like I came in actually halfway through the year because of like the situation that COVID brought upon. So when I came in halfway through the year, like I was obviously very new. I hadn't worked out with the team that much. I mean, obviously I had been grinding on during the fall, but it's honestly the one of the biggest differences like high school to college is like the team environment that you have, and like the relationship with your coach. Like my like Mo is like he's hard on us. He's like he barks at you if you mess up, which I enjoy. I like that a lot. But the point going more to the meet side. I remember my first meet because I like it's one of the most nervous I've ever been. I actually did pretty well at it somehow, but you just even like working out with the team, like you see someone who won NCAA championships, and did it, and now she did it 3 times, and she went to the Tokyo Olympics and second place at World Championships. So you train with someone like that, and now like, oh, this is a different level. Like there's always like at every level you go, there's a maximum like that you think that there is. So like in high school, like I saw the American kids, and I thought like the best Americans. But then when you get to college, you see the best or like some very good foreigners for the U23 level for under 23, and you're like, wow, like this is difference here is huge, and that level up is like scary. Like it like puts you back a little bit. So my first meet was like that, and honestly training with the team in the months leading up to it. And then Pac-12 my freshman year was also pretty crazy. I mean, this is like you realize how good of a conference the Pac-12 is. This year, especially, the Pac-12 was the best in the hammer throw by far. And then I remember in freshman year still we had 70-meter guys, guys who would go on to be very successful at NCAAs. So, those were some of the first moments for me.
Gotcha. And so you mentioned there's like the U23. What are the other, I guess, like subsets of that? And what age do you see most of the people like break records? Because off the top of or what I'm thinking, it's like kind of old man-ish strength. Like, do you progressively like you peak closer to like 30-ish like later, or is it still more like most sports like you start off or your early 20s are usually like when you're most dominant, like athletically?
Yeah. So for the most of the world, just to answer your first age question, it goes. So there's like I think there's like U18. I know there's U20, U23, and then past that, it's all like there's no unders. The under 20 and before, the men throw like lighter weights, etc. But once U23 happens, or once you get past U20, it's all the senior weights, as they say. So there are those divisions progressions. But to answer the later question, most records are broken like when people get to like their 30s or like approach that age. So because like hammer throw especially is like, yeah, you're kind of right. A, it's old man strength, and B, it's like it's so technical that a lot of people don't figure out exactly like what they need to do and how to like leverage the forces of the hammer for their benefit until they get to like 30. Like the old Soviet style training was just like max reps, like do as many reps as possible. And maybe this is a subject for a later time, but I mean, I'll mention it right now. Throwing and the old records of throwing, which one of the men's hammer throw record, like world record, is always tainted because people were using steroids. It's a well known fact. Like the Olympic record holder or the world record holder has like not admitted it, but admitted it. So the point, but the reason why steroids help him that much, or why steroids like really or actually help people, is because the recovery and training happens much quicker when you take steroids. Like the recovery happens faster, so you can take more throws. So that's why you got the records that they did at that time. Because it's just like throwing far is like pretty much a matter of how much you're throwing, like max reps. So most people don't reach the reps they need until they get to like 28, 30, etc.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting. What other like supplementary training do you guys do? Like some kind of like footwork specific exercises, or do you like during training mix in maybe like versions of other sports to kind of like help agility and whatnot?
Yeah, I'd say we do. So I guess in general in training, like we throw a lot. Like I said, max reps possible, pretty much. And then we do special exercises, which these are like plate throws, med ball throws, etc. So these are things to like get your like explosive like core muscles, like explosive all muscles really. We also do like hurdle hops and jumps and stuff like that. And then in the lift, we also do more of that, similar kind of training, like We do like banded jumps. I like banded jumps a lot. We'll do other types of vertical stuff, stair hops all the time. Um, um, yeah, more hurdle hops in the gym even. So yeah, we do a lot of jumping. Honestly, jumping is like the biggest like plyometric thing we do. So yeah, we do those kinds of supplementary training. That's it.
Gotcha. Yeah, and it's interesting. We obviously spent the summer together at Nike. Majority of the people that were interning there were student athletes, so that's the first time I've been around like majority student athletes and kind of seeing that like team environment that we kind of foster there. So curious to know kind of the team environment you have at Cal, and then just like getting up and knowing like you're competing, like you have like the support system, but also like you mentioned, you're at practice with an Olympian. So kind of how was that kind of adjustment process like, and then like just can you just describe that general environment?
Yeah, when I first came to Cal, I mean, I really enjoy the team dynamic is amazing. Like, and I think one of the things I enjoy the most about it is it's people I would have never met in another situation. Like two of my like best friends like are these guys from Orange County, California, which is a lot different than Boston, Mass. I'm from Boston for all the viewers out there, Boston area. So it's a lot different than Boston, Massachusetts. So yeah, team dynamic is great, especially like all the men are super tight. We all have our best interests in mind, and I guess in general, the team dynamic is really good. I consider all of those people like some of my best friends, and I know I'll keep in contact with them for a very long time. I think we're very, very fortunate at Cal to have that. And I think part of that team dynamic is, a culture of excellence. Like, I love being part of that, and I think, like, some of that, like, the lineage of, having an Olympian on our team and having world championship medalists on our team, etc. Like, I think some team dynamics at other teams that I've observed is they get sloppy, right? They go out too much. They, don't take care of themselves. But I think on our boys, we all like keep each other in check in terms of taking care of our bodies, taking care of our minds, etc. We don't do any of that don't do any stupid stuff. We don't get sloppy, which is good. I mean, it's a great thing to be a part of. It means we push each other a lot. It means you're constantly pushing someone else. It means someone else constantly pushing you, and but it's all brotherly. It's not like a toxic kind of push. It's a brotherly like love. Like let's conquer the Pac-12. Let's conquer the region. Kind of love, which is super special to have. It's something I didn't get in high school at all because throwing's not a big high school thing, and at my high school back then it wasn't a thing at all. Really, it was me and one other guy. But now that I'm experiencing it, there's really nothing like it, and I honestly think I'm not going to experience anything like that for maybe the rest of my life. So it's something I value very, very deeply.
Wow, that's awesome. And speaking of taking care of your body and kind of the fuel that goes into your body, what does a typical diet look like in season and then like out of season? The reason I ask is I have seen you crush food. I can inhale it, and I'm just looking at it, I'm like, dude, and you're just like watching me eat, and I'm like, I feel bad because I'm like, okay, yeah. But what is that like? What is like nutrition at Cal kind of look like?
Yeah, so I mean, throwers need to eat a lot. Like the number, like especially when we get into in-season training, my coach just says like, eat like a horse. That's his motto. And I did like a rough calculation. I don't like count calories. I did a rough calculation. I think in season I do around 3,000 to 3,500 calories on a normal day, on an average day I would say, which it's a pretty big amount. Nutrition, it's like, I think for us most of it is just to get the calories in. We don't really like, and get protein obviously. Calories and protein are the two main objectives for us. So that's why I can eat a lot is I eat like, I don't eat 6 full meals a day, but like I'd say I eat like 6 like servings of food that are not just like some small snack. Like, and I think Cal helps us out with that, which is great. Cal has like a fueling stations like after lift, and we also get like these like free to go, or like they give us like these to go lunches with like healthy snacks and stuff, which is definitely good. That definitely supplement, or that helps me get my calories in. And Cal has these, obviously they have protein shakes and other kinds of fuel like that, electrolyte water, which is I sweat a lot, so honestly a lot of the fuel also is in like hydration and getting like the proper water electrolyte balance, something I never knew about going into college, but the amount of work we do just makes me sweat like unlike I ever have. So that's why I even have my Gatorade right now. Out of season though, personally, I like to cut. I like to try to cut at least. I mean, you saw me at Nike, not always doing that, but I mean, I actually dropped like probably 15, 20 pounds. For after after season ended, and I'm probably on track to do a similar thing this year. So, I mean, I don't like cut, but I try to take it lighter or don't eat as much. I personally don't like eating that much. Like eating 3,000, 3,500 calories a day. For people who haven't experienced it, it's not always easy. Like sometimes you have to eat when you don't want to eat anymore. Especially like in freshman year, I had to train myself to do that. Like now I can just eat automatically and I've got the capacity. But like freshman year, like I had never like made a strong effort to gain weight in high school. But in college, you need to do that. Like in college, as a collegiate thrower, like A, you're working out so much, and B, like you to some extent you need some mass to throw things far. There's an old saying in lifting, mass moves mass. And to some extent in throwing that's true. I mean, it is true as long as you can like retain the same level of agility and quickness, etc. So, that's kind of what the fueling looks like at least.
Gotcha. Yeah. What does a travel situation look like for like a track and field team at a Division I college? Because there's a lot of people. Right, so like, what's like coordinating all of that?
Yeah, so I mean, travel for I think most track teams is different than maybe some other teams that exist because, like you said, there are a lot of people on a track team. So, in general, at least Cal's policies are like pretty relaxed, but that makes it chaotic at some times. So like, in the airport, like you said, it's like 50 or 60 like college kids just like hustling and bustling, trying to figure out where to go, etc., which is chaotic. And I think one of the bigger things for throwers about travel is we have to carry the implement cases. We have to take all of our implements with us. So a men's hammer is 16 pounds each, and each men's hammer thrower has a men's hammer. A woman's hammer is like 8.8 pounds, 4 kilos each, and we have each women's hammer thrower has their own hammer, and we put all these hammers into one case, and some poor soul has to go take it on the airplane. Has to put it through check bag, and there's this whole like thing, and then you put that up across 3 other events. You have shot put, you have discus, and you have javelin. So I guess like that for throwers, traveling is pretty chaotic, and we're envious of the runners for sure because they don't have to bring anything on. And the pole vaulters too. You have to bring your own poles. Like pole vaults are like the poles that you use for pole vaulting are like long. Like I don't even know how many feet, but they're huge. So they have to take those on and off, and that's chaotic. But otherwise, besides like the getting on and off the plane, it's they just give us like a per diem to spend, and that's how we eat. We just go out with our buddies, which is super dope. I mean, you get to explore the food scene of the city. I remember in Albuquerque, New Mexico, we went to a Brazilian steakhouse on the last night we were there, which was fun. So you get to do these like fun little things, explore the city a little bit. Sacramento actually has a good food scene, which I didn't expect, but every meal in Sacramento I had was good. So it's definitely pretty fun. It's pretty relaxed, like I said, because there's a lot of people. But I know at other teams, at least at Cal, there are other teams that like when they travel, it's like the military. Like you like are in bed, they do room checks, like in bed at 10, room checks, lights off, everyone eats together, et cetera, et cetera. But I think a track team's just too big to manage that, so it's pretty relaxed.
Gotcha. Yeah, dude, there's some poor United employee out there that knows when y'all are traveling. He's like, I am not coming into work that day. It's a big day. It's like 150 pounds. He's like, what the?
Dude, for real, it's like like you see those guys. We actually had like a thing at United because I think one of the workers was like so like fed up with us that like they just like would not help us, and we're just like stuck there like unable to do anything with the cases. Because there is some poor soul at United as well who has to carry these like like 3 or 4 90-pound cases on and off the belts and stuff. So I guess we're giving United employees and Southwest employees their workouts, but yeah.
Yeah. One thing wanted to know. Obviously, you're half Indian, and talked to Anuj about this when he was on. But Asian representation in sports, and especially collegiate levels and hammer and weight throwing. How many people have you run across into that are, you know, of Asian descent, like in the sport, and then like even going like back home and whenever you like talk to like prospective people who are going to throwing, like have you become like an ambassador for this sport, like around your hometown or whoever else you come across?
Yeah, the to answer your question, Asian representation is super low. I mean, like I said, I'd say the demographic of throwing is very similar to the demographic of an offensive line. So, I would say it's like, half white or some large percent white, some large percent black, and then, other races like, Asian. I guess there's a decent amount of PI, Pacific Islanders in both football and throwing, but Asians are not really like that. So we have, I think there's an Indian guy or Pakistani guy on my team, freshman shot putter, which is great. And there's also a Vietnamese guy on Cal's team. And I think that's because the Bay Area is a diverse place. So when like we recruit from there, or my coach recruits from there, we get some better diversity. And also my coach is Iranian, which is also very rare. Like that's, a lot of coaches are they were ex-throwers themselves. So either European or American white or American black. So I think that was actually an attractive thing about Cal is, having an Asian American coach and somewhere that welcomes diversity. But anyway, I think I've only run into like 2 Indian throwers at least from what I remember in my career throwing. Like every meet I've ever gone to. I like look at the start list. I watch people throw. I'm not like chilling in the hotel the whole time. Like I'm at the meet watching, and I think there are only 2 I can remember off the top of my head. And as far as like someone who went to like regionals level, so I went to regionals twice, and I think I only ever saw 1 Indian guy at regionals, and that's a javelin thrower from UCLA. So yeah, in Asian representation is not that much, but I think I am proud to say that in my high school now, like the throwers now, it's like 3 Asian guys. Like it's 3, like I think they're all Chinese, and they're doing great, and I love to see that. Like I think something that Mo always says, my coach always says, is like each like grade, each class has to level up on the other. So when you have class, the next incoming class has to be better. The next incoming class has to be better. Next incoming class has to be better. And I think that's definitely true at my high school. It was just me at one point, and then now it's like 3 dominant guys. They pretty much like won the Division I meet in Massachusetts high school system for the whole school pretty much, and they contributed like a significant amount of points. Which I'm proud of them for, but B, I think it speaks a little bit to Asian representation, and when you're an Asian in throwing, you don't see anyone else who looks like you, and you're kind of, I think you understand. You like, I'd say Indians are boxed out of the athletic sphere a little bit. I mean, I've gotten so many comments over the course of my career about, I didn't know Indian people could be athletic. I didn't know this, da da da. People just like automatically assume I'm some different race. Because I'm racially ambiguous, I get that, but also I think it has a little bit to do with just Indians aren't in the sport, and so they assume otherwise. And so there's definitely a stereotype. I think that Indians can't be athletic. I have gotten like actually like a lot of comments about that. Like more than my 2 hands can count. So it's definitely it's a little bit of a challenge, but. Like I said, I'm very fortunate to have a diverse team. I'm very fortunate to have a coach who he's from Iran. He grew up in Iran. So I think I'm fortunate to be in a diverse place where I don't really feel that not anti-Asian pressure, but just like Asians don't really exist in throwing pressure. I don't feel that, which is I'm very happy to be there.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And I played basketball. We had a chance to hoop. Michael's not that good at basketball, but the rebounding monster, like Dennis Rodman. At some points, I'm like, dude, this sucks. Like, if I know I'm missing, I'm just running back the other way. I'm not even trying to go for the rebound. But no, yeah. That's,
Yeah.
but yeah, so
Okay.
now going into your senior year, what does your role on the team kind of look like, and what are you hoping to accomplish?
I mean, I think in terms of my role, I mean, well, maybe I'll answer the accomplishment question first, which is the goal this year is to get to NCAA nationals. Like that is the one. Like me and my coach had a postseason meeting, and like that was like pretty much all I said. It's like, hey, I want to get NCAA nationals. Um, I'll obviously do well at Pac-12s, etc. I want to try to do better in the weight as well. Cal as a team, I'd say doesn't. We don't do too much for the weight throw. I mean, we have like 70-meter guys who didn't. 70 meters is a pretty good throw in hammer throw, and you expect a 70-meter guy to throw like 21, 22 in the weight, and all of our guys don't. I don't think we had to throw over 20, which is that's no like insult to like this is like our system or our coaching or whatever. That's just like we just don't do a lot for it. I want to try to like at least muscle one out there, going out there, mess around with that a little bit. In terms of my role, I think I would like to be a leader. I think I'm poised to be in the position. I think something that I'm proud to say is I like talk to everyone. I think I have a very good relationship with everyone on the team. So yeah, some kind of leadership is I think good. Mentoring the freshmen too, like the freshman boys, or they're going to be sophomores. They redshirted last year. Those three guys. So we want to get them making an impact in the team scoring, etc. right away. So yeah, just being a good mentor, and I had guys who when they were seniors and I was a freshman or sophomore, they were great mentors to me, and really all I want to do is be the same figure to the now freshmen, sophomores that those guys older than me were to me.
Wow, that's great to hear, and you are you I you're very your presence in general is like a very older brother type of making sure everyone around you is good. So they're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
But yeah,
Thank
dude.
you. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. Or before we cap off, three rapid fire questions. Um,
Yeah.
Starting off with, how would your teammates describe you in one sentence?
Driven but laid back, athletic nerd.
Gotcha. Second question, who who do you consider to be the GOAT thrower?
Goat thrower. Whoa. I mean, so like this question is very different than maybe you asking it to a basketball player or some other sport, because things are based on numbers, right? So like
Yeah.
the goat thrower technically is Yuri Sadiq, or Yuri, yeah, and he's the world record holder. But the goat for me, and like I think a lot of people will actually agree with this, is this guy named Koji Murafushi. So he's like he threw in the mid 2000s. He has the third all time, I think. Yeah, third all time mark. So I mean, obviously he's top three all time. But he was tested. I don't think he ever failed a drug test, which like the two guys above him would have failed a drug test. So I think people widely consider him like the best clean hammer thrower of all time. I mean, he was an athletic beast. He was he could have been a world champion decathlete too, but he ended up being a hammer thrower because his dad also was. But because like I think he ran some like 6 mid 60-meter dash, which is that's like faster than Tyreek Hill, kind of, or like as fast as Tyreek Hill, kind of 60-meter
Yeah.
dash. Jumped some crazy vertical, some like mid 30s or above, maybe 40, like something that like I don't remember the exact numbers, but my coach worked with him a little bit. My coach like trained or did training camps with Koji a good bit, so I've heard some like the freak athlete things about him, because he like his parents, like his dad was a very successful hammer thrower and his mom was a very successful long jumper, I think, or shot putter. So he had a very good lineage and genetics. So yeah, he's a freak athlete and his throwing looks beautiful. Like I love watching it. It's a work of art. Like it's super connected, super long, elastic, just beautiful throwing. So I consider him to be the GOAT, even though technically by numbers he's not the GOAT.
Gotcha. And final question: what is your edge?
So what does that mean? Talk to me about the what that
What
means.
what? Yeah. What? As that's a good thing. I actually had never explained this. Probably should have. But your edge is basically what ultimately kind of sets you apart, right? Like if you look back at everything that happened, the path you did, there's a reason why you were like the top 1% of people that in the sport you play. So what about yourself do you think really gave you that this outsized return, if you will, on like your ability to perform?
Ooh, okay, that's a good question. I think the two things that I immediately think of are, um, I would say I'm very disciplined in general. So what I mean by that is like I yeah, I'd say like my practice, my training is very disciplined. It's very like it's no BS. You know, do like get the work done. And I think something more is I do that like not only in the athletics world, but like I said, in the academics world and in every part of my life, which I think leading a life of discipline is something that's very important for a collegiate thrower. It's very easy to get distracted with other things, you know, whether that's, you know, going out, you know, other interests that people might have. Um, I think I lead a very disciplined life, which you know helps me in every way. You know, it means like my sleep is regulated, my eating is regulated, etc. Everything's regulated, everything's predictable. So it makes training a lot more predictable. When my body's feeling bad, I know why, and I can like diagnose it, adjust it, etc. So I think the discipline is a good thing. And that's something that I have to credit my coach with instilling that he in my freshman year I was not disciplined. He got on me for it, and he really changed that around about me. So I'd say now discipline is huge. I think in the beginning when I was first starting out, because that's kind of what your question alluded to a little bit. I'd like the passion and just like the hunger and curiosity to learn. That was huge, and that's again the thing that like I think I do very well outside of you know, outside of athletics. I like the hunger and curiosity to learn is something that really guides my academic performance, and that's why I'm in a research lab. I joined that research lab because hey, I was curious about you know robotics in a research way. I take the class for it, so I think the curiosity and the hunger to learn. Yeah, that's like an innate skill of mine. That's not something I like. That's been with me forever, and I think when I was first starting out, it made me a real student of the game. Right? You like, especially when you're first starting, no one knows about throwing. Like, you know, like people when they first start football or basketball, they can watch a game or they watch things and they can kind of learn there. For me, you had to like I had to like seek out resources. I had to talk to like my coach or my coach's coach, which like I said is a very successful guy, Patty McGrath, very famous. Um, and just watch videos, watch everything, just consume as much media and stuff about hammer I could, so that you know I could accelerate my growth as much as possible. So I'd say those would be my two edges, which is like I said, discipline for now and the curiosity. Not that I don't have curiosity now and hunger to learn now, but when I was first starting out, I think that's what really accelerated me to be able to go to like you know the lower division of nationals within a month of starting. So yeah.
Gotcha. Well, thank you again so much for your time, Michael. I'll have all of his socials linked down below, so feel free to give him a follow. Is there anything you'd love to plug, add?
Dude, keep watching my boy or listening to my boy AK's podcast, man. This is a joy to be a part of. I love what you're doing. Yeah, I think yeah, keep watching the Edge and go Bears. That's what I have to say.